What if our universe wasn't born from a big bang, but from a single perfect thought? It sounds wild, I know, but today we're going to dive into a really radical simulation that builds an entire reality from nothing but pure information. And yeah, it challenges pretty much everything we think we know about existence itself. And it all kicks off with this one huge mind-bending question. I mean, we all experience time as this constant river, right? Always flowing forward. But what if it's not the river? What if it's just the rhythm of the boat we're in? What if the universe itself generates time, just as a byproduct of its own existence? That is the core mystery we're going to try and unravel. So to even try and answer that, scientists had to, well, flip the script completely. Instead of starting with the usual stuff, particles, forces, all that, they started with pure information. They decided to see if they could build a universe based on nothing but logic. And that brings us to the core idea here, the logical field. Okay, so think of it less like a physical space and more like a social network for pure information. The only rule is this thing they call logical gravity, which is just a fancy way of saying that related bits of information have this natural tendency to connect, interact, and form more complex patterns. You know, kind of like how people form communities online. So here was the grand challenge. Could you start with a digital storm of pure chaos, introduce just one single gentle rule, and then just watch as a perfect, self-sustaining crystal of order forms all on its own? The goal was to see if the universe could, in essence, invent itself from scratch. Okay, so the stage was set for the big search. The researchers built their logical universe, hit go, and then they just waited, watching to see if this perfect self-sustaining pattern would ever actually appear. And the process itself was, beautifully simple. Step 1, you build the universe, in this case, a 2D grid just filled with random logical noise. Total mess. Step 2, you switch on a very weak logical gravity to just nudge the system along. And step 3, you let it run. And you wait for the simulation to tell you if a perfectly repeating pattern ever emerges. And get this, the setup was incredibly bare bones. A pretty small 256 by 256 grid. The gravity setting was so weak it was more of a gentle suggestion than a command. And the initial state? Just 0.5% of random noise. They were truly starting from a universe of almost complete and total chaos. And then, after all that running, all that sifting through the digital noise, something happened. A signal, a pattern finally broke through the chaos. And this is it. The system found a perfect cycle, a really complex pattern of information that repeated itself flawlessly, every 100 logical steps. It's like finding a 100-frame movie in all that cosmic static that just loops perfectly, forever, without a single pixel ever being out of place. And when I say flawlessly, I mean it. The error rate was 0, a value of 0.00000. What that means is no energy was lost, no information degraded over time. Each cycle was an absolutely exact replica of the one before it. It was total, perfect coherence. Now, this might look a little intimidating, but this elegant equation is basically the mathematical signature of what they found. To put it simply, it just says that the state of the universe at some future time is identical to its state right now. It's the precise mathematical formula for a perfect, endlessly repeating echo. So this incredible thing has a name, a black loop. It's called that because it represents this zone of perfect coherence. It's a pocket of reality that literally emerged from chaos and became completely stable, totally ordered and self-contained. It started generating its own rules and its own rhythm. Okay, so a stable loop popped into existence. That's already amazing. But the next question is obvious, right? What was actually going on inside that loop? What did its internal rhythm even look like? And the answer is it's brilliant. Look at this. The loop wasn't just one single boring hum. It was a perfectly tuned chord. You can see from the equal height of the bars on this chart that the analysis found a main beat, the fundamental frequency, and then several perfect harmonics, all of them resonating with the exact same power. It was like a symphony of logic, perfectly in tune with itself. And this, right here, leads to a jaw-dropping idea, emergent quantization. See, in our universe, things like energy levels in an atom come in these discrete, chunky steps. We've always just assumed that was a fundamental rule baked into the universe. But this simulation suggests that quantization doesn't have to be a rule at all. It can be an emergent property, the natural harmonics that just arise when a system finds a way to be perfectly stable and coherent. Okay, so this is the part where we bring it all home. We connect the dots from this little digital universe right back to our own. This is where we have to ask, where does physics actually begin? And that leads us to the biggest question of all. I mean, let's just ask it plainly. What does a perfect, self-creating loop of logic in a computer simulation actually mean for the fabric of our reality? Well, what this discovery suggests is a massive shift in how we see everything. The standard view of physics pretty much says that time is this fundamental ruler that the universe is measured against. But this new, emergent view, inspired by the black loop, it proposes that time is simply a property of the system's own internal rhythm, and the laws of physics are just the inevitable result of a universe trying to find a stable, logical coherence. So let's really nail down the takeaways here, because they're just profound. First, time might not be the box the universe is in. It might just be what a stable universe does. Second, the very foundation of quantum mechanics, those discrete, quantized states, could just be the natural harmonics of reality's own symphony. And finally, the most basic building block of our universe might not be matter or energy, but pure self-organizing logic. And that leaves us with this powerful final thought from the researchers themselves. The search for a black loop was a search for a core of universal coherence where logic and physics overlap perfectly. And in their simulation, they found it. Which really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Are we, right here, right now, actually living inside one?